Hi there and welcome back to my channel. My name is Katja, I'm CatColouring, and today's video is an inspirational video for you. In this video I will show you 170 or thereabouts pages from different coloring book illustrators that you can color during spring. Also, a couple of the pages are Easter pages. So this video is meant to get you in that spring seasonal festive mood. And also perhaps a little bit of Easter mood. I'm longing for spring. I hope you can see it with all of these pages I'm going to show you. This is going to be a chatty video, so sit back and relax and grab yourself a nice cup of coffee or a mug of tea and enjoy all of these coloring pages to inspire you during the 3 spring months. Eriy books, and we will begin with the Romantic Country series, and this is the first tale, and there are quite a few spring-like pages you can color, or spring and Easter pages. This wonderful page with the sheep and the castle, I think it looks really spring-like, and I am going to be coloring this in the month of March because I have a new friend, Chelsea, that I'm going to do some body colors with in these Eriy books, and we are beginning with the first tale. Then the page next to, well, of course you can use all sorts of seasons for this page, but I do think it looks really tranquil, and we do have some flowers in a pot outside, so I don't think it's a winter scene. I think this could be a really nice spring scene with a blue sky and a lot of light bright green colors for all of the trees here. This is not a double page spread, it almost looks like it, but this page with the windows from the buildings and all of these wonderful flowers, I think this is a wonderful spring page, you know, not at the early sort of spring, but in late spring where everything is just blooming and just before we get to the summer. If you wanted to, you could also throw in this page. I also think that this could work for spring as a spring page. This page with the manor, I also think could be a very nice spring scene. You can see that this tree is just beginning to get its leaves. We have some flowers in pots down here, and you could use pastel colors or some perhaps more bright colors to color this wonderful tranquil scene. This double page spread with the castle, it actually says in the text for this double page spread that they are celebrating the arrival of spring at this castle. So I do think that it could be really wonderful to color it as a spring scene with light pastel colors, you know, for the building, and then bright colors for all of the flowers and bushes. Also this page, a wonderful garden scene, and you can see we are beginning to have a lot of flowers. So late spring, absolutely. A lot of bright green colors and a nice little fountain here, and some perhaps also bright colors for the flowers. This double page spread, chapter 3, landscape of a village with a beautiful lake and forests. Why not color this sort of chapter double page spread in nice bright colors? We have quite a few flowers and a wonderful lake, and you can use soft pastels. So instead of making a colored pencil background here, which could risk getting really streaky because it's a lot of page to color, use some soft pastels to create perhaps a sky and some clouds, and then color the rest with coloring pencils. Also this page with the church, I mean, we have some sheep and we have the hills and we have a forest, so why not color this as a wonderful spring scene, you know, late spring in May perhaps, and a clear blue sky. And then we have flowers down here, and you can also add flowers to some of the fields in the background. The next page also filled with flowers, and she's walking into the forest, and you can see we do have some sky we can see through the trees, so why not color it a very nice blue color and green, and a lot of colors for the flowers. You can hear my spring colors, blue, green, and a lot of bright colors or pastel colors. Not this double page spread, because some of the trees you don't have leaves on it, so I think it's more like an autumn or a winter page. This page is certainly a spring page. It well actually says so in the text in the back about this page. So it's a scene where in the spring they make these ribbons of flowers, and then you can make a swing, a flower swing with them. So a wonderful, wonderful spring page with cute cats. I mean, what's not to like? A wonderful scene. This page also, well, I think I have already shown it in another of my videos. I think perhaps in autumn, but I mean, there are flowers. You could almost use this for all seasons, perhaps except winter, or if you wanted to remove the flowers, then you could also make this a winter scene, a summer scene, an autumn scene, and a spring scene. And as a spring scene, I think it would work really nice with some lighter green colors for the trees, at least the smaller pine trees here at the bottom, nice fresh green grass, a light coloring of the mountain and a clear blue sky, or perhaps with some clouds if you wanted to add clouds. This page, a picnic page, and I do think that picnics belong to spring and summer, but we don't have a lot of flowers, so I think that this could be a very nice spring scene. Can also see that the duck has a little scarf on, so perhaps it shows us that this is spring. It's not that warm yet, not like in the summer. Well, Manon's flower shop. You could color this also for summer, but you know, we have some wonderful, wonderful flowers, and flower shops usually have flowers all year round. So why not make this a wonderful spring scene also? I usually don't choose Manon's flower shop pages because I just love them, and I think that when I have colored them, then they won't be there, and I won't have anything to, you know, really look forward to, because I think that those pages are absolutely wonderful. This page I have already colored, but if you haven't, this is one of the obvious Easter pages in Eriy's books, the Easter egg collection. I used it to try out a lot of different pencil brands to try to find out which coloring pencil brands work best on the paper in this book. And this is the Japanese edition of A Romantic Country, the first tale. And I have a video up about this on my channel. So I will link it down in the description box so you can see it if you haven't seen it. This page with the garden shed, I mean, you begin working in the garden during spring, so why not make this a spring page? I think it's really obvious. We also have seeds, and, well, you plant the seeds during spring. So let's make this a wonderful spring page. And then we have this Bluebird's Laundry page, which I have been wondering about for quite a long time. It is a double page spread, and, well, when you wash your clothes and you hang it out to dry, you usually do it during spring and summer, perhaps early autumn, but certainly not the worst autumn months and winter, because it's simply too cold. So this could be an absolutely wonderful, colorful spring page where you can have so much. You can have certain different color palettes, a lot of bright colors if you wanted to, or soft pastel colors, or you could also do it, you know, more monochromatic and only use a few colors like blue and purples. It is called Bluebird's Laundry. So every time I see it, I think about the color blue. And finally, this page. It could also be a summer page, but I do think that this is absolutely wonderful. We have the nice green grass down here, a clear blue sky, and then surrounded by the flowers, we have this castle. And you can color the castle in lovely, soft pastel colors, and then use a lot of bright colors surrounding the castle if you wanted to, or the other way around, a nice soft pastel color background and soft pastel color flowers, and then of course a very nice castle filled with bright colors if you wanted to. I think it could work out great. And that was the first tale. The second tale, I also found quite a few pages that you can color for spring if you want to. I do think that this wonderful, wonderful page with the unicorn and these flowers really remind me of spring. We also have a wonderful, I think it's actually some sort of a coat of arms, as far as I remember. It says in the back of the book where you can read about the pages. So I think it's some sort of coat of arms, and it has something to do with spring. But also, I mean, unicorns and spring. Absolutely wonderful. And another double page spread, chapter 2, magnificent lakeside and mountain landscapes. So you can hear this is the English edition of the Romantic Country second tale I have. But look here, we have flowers, we have a lot of trees and the mountains in the background and a beautiful lake and a couple of houses. So here you can really use your soft pastels for the background. Perhaps even pan pastels, and do a wonderful landscape scene here with nice bright colors. Also, this page, I think it's a church where they paint on the mural, and they have painted crocuses, and I think, well, crocus, it's a spring flower, so I think that this is sort of a spring scene with this church drawing. Then last year I colored this page, also a wonderful, wonderful spring page. So this year I am thinking really hard about coloring the page next to it, where we have all of these gardening tools and we have flowers in boxes and so on. So I would really like to color this page. During winter, a lot of the deer get their offspring, and here in spring you can see that they are beginning to grow. So this could be a really nice spring forest scene. We have the stream in the background, we have the trees and all of this green, brown, and perhaps through the trees you could color it green to make it a really dense forest, or you can use some blue to create a little bit of air between the trees if you wanted to. Next up is another double page spread, chapter 3, fairies and works of nature. And here you can see again a lot of soft pastels for the background, and then you can color all of these wonderful flowers. This here we have some small, I can't remember if they're called leprechauns or what they are. And I just think that this is so nice. It's a tea scene, and they are stealing the sugar, and we have some lovely decorated china. So why not color this in nice pastel colors? Perhaps with a little bit of dark blue also. This page with the Easter eggs and the Easter shop, you can see all of these wonderful Easter eggs. This is a sure page to color for Easter. This double page spread is actually called something with celebrations of a spring festival. I know that we can see there are some berries on top of the cakes, but I really think that this just shines of a wonderful May scene, sort of a May spring festival. Really cheerful, and again it's a double page spread. Use those soft pastels for the background and then color the rest also in pastel colors or bright colors or whatever you want, and then you have done 2 pages and done the chapter 5 cheerful town scenes page. Manon's Flowers, also a page in the Romantic Country 2, and here you can see all of these wonderful flowers they use for decorations, perhaps for this spring festival. So I think this could also go. So those were the pages I found in the second tale. The third tale, I didn't find quite a lot of pages. I think that there are a lot of winter, autumn-like pages, and summer pages in Romantic Country, the first tale. So, because, a page like this filled with flowers could be spring, but could also be summer. So, I have only 3 pages. This picnic page, I think, is really adorable and could be a nice spring page, May page. Could color this in May because it's usually warm in May, at least in Denmark. I mean, it could be warmer elsewhere, but where I live, it's usually first really warm in May, where you can go to picnics outside without freezing. And of course, the spring festival scene with the maypole. Spring has come. Also a good page to color during spring. And, well, then we have this wonderful double page spread with the fairies. I think it could also be a really wonderful spring page. You can see I have colored the other page and I have had a little bit of bleed through. You can see a little bit of some dark blue here. It was the mermaid double page spread I did last year, and apparently I have been too eager on this side of the page with the dark blue colors, because I can clearly see that we do have some blue shining through the paper in several places. So this is not going to be colored with the light colors. I will have to use some very bright colors to cover that up. But the other page is okay. And that was it for the pages I found in Romantic Country, the third tale. My Maria Trolle books, I have chosen a few. I am not including Universum because it's a compilation book. And Shooting Star, you know, I have already colored that book entirely. If you want to see it, it's up on my channel under completed books in that playlist. And I also will not include Nightfall and Twilight Garden, because I think it's more filled with summer-like pages and not spring pages. But you can find real spring-themed pages in her other books. And here in Luna, let me show you some of them. This page is filled with daffodils, and what I am assuming could be some sort of tulip. Also looks a little bit like a snowdrop, but not entirely. So I think it's tulips we can see here. Also have a little bumblebee. And of course, some forget-me-nots. It looks like down here. So a true spring page. Then we have this page over here. We can see the blooming trees, and still we have some daffodils and tulips down here. So a clear spring page. This page could, well, it could really depict, you know, late spring or April or May, where the apple trees bloom. Really looks like apple flowers here. And then we have the full moon and this wonderful bird sitting here. I think this is an absolutely wonderful scene. So I will include this in my spring themed pages. And of course, this page with the blooming, I think it's magnolia flowers we can see here, and they certainly bloom also during spring. So 4 pages from Luna. In Botanicum, we find a few more pages. This page with a wreath filled with small hyacinths and crocuses, I think it's absolutely wonderful. It's also quite a simple page to color. You can use some soft pastels for the background, color this little wreath, and then you are done with the page. On the next page, we have a wonderful bouquet filled with bleeding hearts flowers and also some tulips. And I think these are forget-me-nots, if I'm not mistaken. So also a wonderful page for spring. There are quite a few spring pages in Botanicum. This one filled with tulips, bleeding heart flowers, and once again, these forget-me-nots and a peacock. A wonderful male peacock we can see with this tail. So here you can really do this page in a lot of bright, wonderful colors. This page again with the bleeding heart flowers. I think these are snowdrops. It looks a little bit like snowdrops. Could also be very early bellflowers. And then grape hyacinths. Really love those. Wonderful blue color. And then we have some birds, a bird's nest with bird eggs. Or if you want to go Easter, you could color them Easter. Because look on the next page, we have a wonderful bunny and a nest with Easter eggs. And these are clearly Easter eggs. We have crocuses. And I think these are winter aconites. Looks like it. So also wonderful spring page. The next one with the little fairy girl in tulips. Also wonderful spring page. And finally, this page with the blooming apple flowers and the squirrel and the bumblebee. So these are the pages I feel are most spring-like and that I would like to, well, I know I will never color all of them during this season, but certainly some of the pages that I will consider coloring and might get to color some of them during spring from Botanicum. Also a few pages spring themed from Flora coloring book by Maria Trolle. And we begin with the first page. We have a lovely, it looks like cherry flowers and a cherry tree and a wonderful bird holding a little necklace with a heart. On this page we have a beautiful wreath consisting of tulips and daffodils and bleeding heart flowers, and I do think that it really is forget-me-not flowers. Also wonderful tulips here with the cap. This page with tulips and a plant called Kaiser's Crown or Imperial Fritillary, I think it's called. I'm not quite sure about how to pronounce that, but still a spring page. I used to have these in my garden until we redid the garden, and now I don't have them. But in the beginning where we live now, the first few years, I did have those in my garden. Wonderful page also with these two small owls, and we have again forget-me-nots and tulips and bleeding heart flowers, and I really like bleeding heart flowers. I think it's a wonderful spring flower. And finally, lily of the valley. We have a cute little rabbit here and a fairy. What's not to like about this wonderful spring page? Could also throw in the other one over here with the fairy home in a coffee pot and lily of the valley. Fairy tale worlds. I have found some pages that I think could be interpreted, sort of spring-like. I know these are fairy tale pages, but I do think that this one looks a bit more spring-themed in the flowers. They really look like this lily of the valley, these flowers, and also these sort of star-shaped petals in this flower. I usually see them during spring here in Denmark, and they are yellow. I don't know what they are called. I have no idea. But wonderful, wonderful. And these could look like anemones. And that is certainly a spring flower. So this page, I could picture myself color during spring. This one also beautiful, beautiful page. It really reminds me of, spring, also because it's from the fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen about this little girl and how she rescues a bird and then he flies her down south away from the winter and the cold up in the north, and then she meets the flower king and is married and becomes his queen. So I do think that this is just a wonderful spring-like page. And of course, again, a fairy tale, Hans Christian Andersen's The Ugly Duckling, who turns into a beautiful swan. And this is his transformation. And it's spring in the fairy tale when he discovers that he is a swan. So this is a typical spring page. And you can also see the bleeding heart flowers down here. The Frog King or Frog Prince page, bleeding heart flowers. And, well, it could be winter agonites down here. Probably not because of the leaves, but I still think this could be colored as a wonderful spring page. Here we certainly have lily of the valley flowers, so also a beautiful spring page. And then, of course, finally, this one with the snowdrop. And we have, this could actually be colored also during the late February because it is a snowdrop and we have snowflakes down here. And we have the sunrise I think it is a sunrise, not a sunset. But anyway, a beautiful page where you can color and use a lot of pastel colors for this. So those were the pages I found in Fairy Tale Worlds. And then finally season. And I know that there is a whole section of spring pages, but well, it's not all of them that I would like to color. So I would just like to emphasize this one. I like it because it's filled with snow, melting snow. So it's not entirely spring. It's the end of winter, and we can see the snowdrops here surrounding this little tree house. Then there is also, during the book, we have for each season a sort of a house drawing. And this is the spring house with tulips and daffodils out in the front. And this is just, one of those pages. You can see that, I think it's actually some sort of a grass roof we have, because we have plants on the roof. So this could be a really beautiful drawing with a blue sky and a lot of all of this new fresh and green colors. Then, of course, we have crocuses surrounding a wonderful little fairy house. We can still see the snow. And that is what I like about this, because the beginning of spring is certainly not just spring, because there is a lot of time going with snow and bad weather before it gets warmer. This is more of an Easter page, I would say, with the chicken and the little chicklets. And then we have some tulips. You can also throw in the other page with a newly hatched little chicken. And this is a clear Easter page with Easter decorations from new branches where the leaves have just begun to bloom. We have Easter eggs, and next to it a wonderful Easter basket and daffodils. And of course also this wonderful little spring flower shop where you can buy all of these wonderful daffodils and tulips. So those are the pages that I have picked out as possible colorings in Årstider Seasons by Maria Trolle. The World Series by Eriy, and this is the World Heritage book. And well, I do think that you have to look at the motifs and think, could I color this like sort of a spring scene? And I don't think that I have a lot of pages in this book I would color as spring scenes. A lot of them, I think that they are more summer-like. But this double page spread is certainly a spring scene, because this is from the Spring Festival in Spain. I think it was from Seville. And you can see flamenco dancers, lots of flowers, beautiful scenes. So here you can really go nuts with the pastel colors, or I think that bright, nice, strong colors would be beautiful for this double page spread. Then we have this page. This is embroidered cloths and things from I can't remember if it was from Belgium or another land. But, we have a lot of these wonderful flowers, so why not make this sort of a spring page? And then we have the page from Holland, the Netherlands, where we can see the tulips and the windmills, and this is really just spring-like for me. So absolutely wonderful page. Also, I have chosen this page. This is from the Russian ballet, and well, is it a spring page? There are a lot of flowers and we have these fresh branches, so why not turn this into a wonderful spring scene with a lot of light pastel colors. I can certainly envision this. I have just seen it. Another one colored this on, and it was beautiful, but as a dark scene, a night scene with a lot of dark colors and a purple dress and so on, and it looked really good. But for me, when I look at this page, I see pastel colors and pink and light green, perhaps some sage green also for this page. And then, well, I don't know if you can say spring or whatever, but I just love this double page spread with the balloons. And I think it's wonderful. You can even see there are some flowers on one of the balloons. So why not turn this into a wonderful, wonderful spring scene? Perhaps even a sunset scene. The World Fairy book This is the page with all of these, I think it's princesses. And well, there are so many flowers on the wallpaper behind them and flowers on the pictures and on the dresses and so on. So if you are tired of winter and want it to be spring, then you can color this page. I actually also had the page before, I almost forgot, where you can see the cat sitting next to the boy, and this is the cat in boots before it gets its boots, and advisor to the king. And I think this is a wonderful scene. We don't have a lot of flowers, and we have mostly grass and a tree trunk, and then the trees, and we have this watermill in the background. So why not turn this into a wonderful spring scene? This page with Rapunzel from the fairy tale, you know, the one with the extremely long hair. She needs a haircut. Sitting out in her tower and looking out over the landscape. We have a forest in the background, and then we have the path, we have the sky. And, you know, when I see a sky like this with clouds, I just want it to be a very bright blue sky and a lot of green. Some of my favorite colors. And then, of course, a tower with her. So an absolute spring page. Pinocchio. Well, I'm not sure what sort of season it is with Pinocchio. I can't really remember from the movie, but why not a spring scene? You can see the chair he's sitting on. It has got a couple of leaves, so why not make this into a wonderful spring scene? And you can, you know, see the blue sky out through the window, and then we have a lot of wood color, so a lot of different sorts of brown color on the drawing. This page for sure, because we have some what looks like spring flowers, daffodils and some tulips and so on. So definitely this page. And of course also this one. Of course this is from you know, Jack and the Beanstalk, and then this bird laying golden eggs and so on. But you know, all of these eggs are decorated as Easter eggs. So this is a clear Easter page. And I would surely color it like an Easter page. And then we have the three little pigs. So we have the two stupid pigs out here with their not so great houses that the wolf can just huff and puff and then blow it all to pieces. And then we have the wise of the pigs who builds his house with bricks. So why not make this into some lovely spring scenes? Because, well, they are moving away from home, and when do you do it? After a long winter, home at your mother's, and then you want to get your own and get a fresh start in spring. So those were the spring pages I have chosen from Eriy's World Fairies. The Legends book, I found quite a few pages in here that I think are spring-like. The first and foremost are this is this introductory page where you can see the castle, and then we are introduced to the story and to Manon and Hershey traveling through all of these legends. This page with the flower fairy, we have the wonderful tulips here, so I think that this could be colored as a wonderful spring page. You know, it's a night scene, but still. Then we have this page, also wonderful. Looks a little bit like some spring flowers, and we have some petals all around. And the other one with the fairies drinking lily of the valley tea. I hope it's not poisonous, because lily of the valley is a poisonous flower, but it's also a spring flower, at least in my country. So I think this is a wonderful spring page. It could be a wonderful spring page to color. The following page is also really spring-like because it is filled with shamrocks. This reminds me of St. Patrick's Day in March. So this could be a beautiful page to color with all green colors for St. Patrick's Day. The other one also, the girls sitting out and, you know, late spring and making flower arrangements or garlands of flowers to put in the hair. I think this really is a spring scene. Also, this double page spread with all of the flower fairies. Wonderful, wonderful page. Well, here we are in Paris, and this is one of these pages where I think you could color it for a lot of different seasons, but I think that we do have the clouds. It could be a nice sunset scene, but it could also be a day scene where she's playing with this gargoyle. But a nice spring sunset scene, you know, a lot of pastel colors, perhaps some golden and pastel colors in the background. And then you can, you know, color to your heart's content inside of the apartment. And then we have the Eiffel Tower. This page, also one of these pages where we can't really see the season, but why not turn this into a wonderful spring page? We have a house in the background, we have some of the plants, we have the water, and we have the sky. Lots of blue, brown, green colors. And then you could color him something completely different, like, you know, bright red colors, and then he could really stand out compared to the background. And finally, also this page, you know, we do have a sort of leafy frame and a lot of sky in the background. And of course, you could also color it, you know, like a sunset or sunrise. But I do think that a clear blue sky would be nice because we have these birds. The World Literature Book from Eriy. And this is the 4th book in the series. These are all my notes. And this is the first page that I have chosen. This is from the Fables of Aesop, I think it's called. And this is a story about the north wind and the sun. And they have a sort of wager, a competition. And this is a traveler, or you can also call him a tramp because he looks quite a poor man. And the one who can make him take his coat off first will win. So the north wind is absolutely certain that he can just blow and make the traveler lose his coat because he blows so much. But in fact, he blows just a cold wind over him. So the traveler or tramp here, he clutches his coat really hard because he freezes because the wind is so cold. And I think that the fable ends with that the sun wins because the sun is really warm and makes him sweat, and then he takes off his coat. I think it's how it ends, like that. But anyway, this could be a wonderful spring coloring. We do have some flowers, and you know, during the spring, sometimes it's warm, sometimes it's cold. So a wonderful spring page, at least in my view. The page with Narcissus, the young man who fell in love with his own reflection, and then he stopped eating, and then he vanished. But you can see the page is filled with spring flowers. We have so many daffodils around. So this, for me, is a clear spring page. Then we have this Don Quixote drawing. And what season is this? Well, I think this could look great with spring, you know, a spring-themed page with a lot of sort of pale pastel colors in the background, you know, a pale blue and the windmills, and then use some more bright colors for Don Quixote and, I can't remember the other, was it Pancho or something, his follower and friend. So I think that this really looks like a spring page, also because we have some flowers, so it doesn't look really autumn-like. So this is from Alice in Wonderland, where the walrus and the boy takes these oysters out for a walk. So why not make this into a spring page at least? And this is from the story, A Dog from Flanders. And here we have the boy drawing a picture of this girl and his dog. And this is a very peaceful scene where we have windmills and a church in the background and we have some flowers. So why not make this into a tranquil late spring page? This is a story about Heidi, and this is where she goes up to the mountains to visit her grandfather and meets a boy with a goat shepherd, if you can say that. So this could be a really lovely spring scene because the mountains during spring, and you can see she's not wearing a jacket. So I do think it's sort of a spring scene. This page also, I think, a spring scene because we have the blooming rhododendron bushes here. And in Denmark, they are blooming in May and June. So it's a late spring, early summer flower. So you could easily color this page as a spring page. This is Anne of Green Gables, one of my very absolutely favorite stories from when I was little. And I remember that this is where she waits in the station. And I remember that when they are driving home, or no, not driving, but taking the carriage home to Green Gables, then the cherry trees are blossoming, so it must be late spring and not quite summer. So this could be easily colored as a spring page, whereas the other pages with Anne I would much rather color as a summer page. The last pages here with Manon reading the literature at a bench in the park, and I do think that this is the spring page because we have a swan, and you can see it has this little swan. I don't know what they're called, swan kids, in the lake. We do have some flowers, and I know that when they have their offspring, their young ones in Denmark, it's usually during the spring. It's usually in May, at least they do have them. And we also have some lovely flowers, but you can also see she's wearing a shawl around her shoulders, so it's not, summer and really warm. So this tells me that it must be spring somehow. And those were the pages from the literature book. And finally, we have Magical Country, Laura Mia. And I just have to say that, well, a lot of these pages in the book, they are pages with all of these stores and places from Ramsmignon, the capital of this country. So you would really have to look at the motifs, the drawings, and then say, could this be colored like a spring page? I think the Mirror of Dreams, this door page, could be colored because we have a lot of flowers here. The same goes for the page where she's flying on her broomstick. I know she has a little pet animal with her, but it's a very beautiful landscape scene. And we do have a couple of flowers and then the landscape, so you could easily color this as a spring scene. Also, the pages with, not the bus stop, but the stop where you can either take a tour around the island on these giant turtles or fly with the dragons. So both pages could be used for spring. I think these are more summer because there are so many flowers. Then we have this tree with all of these birds, and birds come out and sing a lot during spring. And why not also turn this into a spring page? The same with this little wonderful shop where the fairies make jam. You can see we have some daffodils and spring-like flowers around. Can't remember if they are called pansies, but certainly spring flowers all around this little fairy house. And then also the page where they eat their candy floss up in the sky, cotton candy stand up in the sky with these flowers. You can clearly see it's tulips. So a couple of pages here from the Magical Country, and those were all of the airy spring-like Easter-like pages I had found in my Fairy Tales and Folklore coloring book by Emelie Lidehäll Öberg. And I have found a couple of pages in this book. Who am I kidding? More than just a couple of pages, because a lot of these pages are, well, I think perhaps more summer-like with all of these flowers, but I have chosen pages with flowers I feel that you would find during spring, and motifs that I think are more spring-like than summer-like. This wonderful Tinkerbell sort of fairy with the flowers surrounding her, I think is a beautiful, beautiful spring page. Again, lovely pale pastel colors, or you could color it really bright with a lot of green and blue and purple colors. This page next to the Mountain King, here we have a wonderful drawing, and you can see we have flowers, and she's holding a small deer, and the deer are born during winter, so when they are little, I think it's spring. This is why I think this would be a great spring page, also because the other one was colored in autumn color, so it could be nice to have a spring and an autumn page next to each other. Blooming branches, well, that's also really spring for me, so I think that this bird page is also very beautiful and could be colored with a pale background and then lots of colors on the bird. The same goes with this page, a small little baby deer sleeping with all of these flowers. Also, I think a wonderful, wonderful spring page. Then, of course, it's also Easter, and as you can see, this page, great for Easter, but I did color it last year. It's up on my channel as a color and chat. But the page behind it, this one, is a bird's nest with 3 Easter eggs in it. Also some gems and diamonds and a key. So this one also for Easter. Then we have a page like this with the octopus, and well, you could color it according to several seasons, including summer, but I think this is really wonderful, and you could color it a lot of bright colors and light colors, spring-like colors. So I think that this is a wonderful spring scene. The page, also in an Easter page, we have Easter eggs in the cup and a couple of birds sitting here on this branch. This page with a traveling mouse and this beautiful sort of flower doorway she's standing in. Beautiful, beautiful. I can imagine it in pinks, purples, and green colors, and perhaps some yellow colors in the middle behind her, a light background, and then she just, emerges from this sort of doorway, flower doorway. This page also spring-like to me. We have a bird, we have flowers, everything that just embodies spring. These 2 pages, the little owl with the mushrooms and the butterflies, the snake page. I would really like to color in the spring. I think it's a really spring-like page. After the winter, the snakes come out, and we have the adder snake in Denmark, and all of the sunlight and the warmth warms them up because they are cold-blooded, so they have to be warmed up by the sun, and then they begin, being out and about. So a spring page for me. Then we have this lemon house page with flowers. I think the lemon trees, they also bloom during the spring, so I think this is a very beautiful spring page. This page also with the castle and the princess and the crowned bird down here. I don't know what it is, but I really get a spring vibe about this page. And then the last page, again a bird, because spring for me is flowers and birds. And we have again a crowned bird and lovely flowers. So this could be turned into a wonderful page with a very pale, perhaps pastel background, and then a lot of bright, strong colors for the bird, and perhaps also the flowers surrounding the bird. So those were the pages in Fairy Tales and Folklore. Anyway, Hanna Karlzon, I have only chosen drawings from Seasons because it is her Seasons coloring book, and this is also a project book of mine, and I also want to finish it this year. So the pages I will show you are simply all of the spring pages that I haven't colored. This page I have not colored, and I can easily picture it for me with pink flowers, perhaps a pale pink dress, a very light skin color, and a blue background, pale blue background. So really nice pastel colored page. Another one of these huge portrait pages, and this is why I haven't colored it yet. They are a bit intimidating. You can see we have some tulips here, but then we have this huge jewelry and a lot of hair and so on. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing with this page. Usually when I am really at a loss, I do a galaxy background and then cover all of the black lines with a white gel pen, and then it's galaxy white lines, and then I don't have to think about, skin tone colors and all that. This is a double page spread. You know how much I like them, but I also have to say that this one is really intimidating. First and foremost, all of these feathers. I mean, these feathers and the rest. And then you have some clothes, you have flowers, jewelry, a crown. I mean, what colors am I supposed to use on this page and the background? Because this crown, golden tones, I think. Perhaps a couple of rubies or emeralds, because I will need some green for the flowers. Perhaps some yellow, but then we have the rest of the jewelry. And then what about the color of the bird? So I think that I am going to have to go to Pinterest and see what other people have done with this double page spread and see if I can get some inspiration. Because I have no idea how I want to color this, but I have to color it. And this is a bit too, there are too many lines that I want to do a galaxy background with this, this goose. This page. Easy enough. Flowers, a little bit of a diamond inside of the flowers, and a bee. And a bird, also bee and a diamond or ruby or whatever it can be, Then we have a clear Easter page with the daffodils. Another one of these whimsical pages. I think it's some sort of a butterfly over here, and then we have some sort of a flower pyramid. Another spring lady with tulips for eyelashes, and a wonderful bird. And this double page spread with the mice. This is so cute. So I don't think I will have any trouble finding colors for this page. Think it's going to be really bright colors, a lot of yellow and green on this page. The rabbits here with flowers, I'm thinking beige colors, pastel colors actually, a pastel page. And then we have the birds with the key here. So those are all of the pages, and I think it's about 16 or 15 or 17 pages thereabouts. So I will surely have my work cut out for me with coloring all of these spring pages, because if I want to finish it this year, then I will have to do all of the spring pages, well, this year, and preferably during spring, because then comes summer, and I also have quite a few summer pages I haven't colored yet. Rita Berman's Mein Spaziergang durch die Jahreszeiten, or Hidden Seasons. I am not quite sure how far the spring pages are in this book, because some, well, is it spring, is it summer? I'm not quite sure, but I have selected a few in the beginning, so they are certainly spring pages. The first one with the buds here. Absolutely wonderful, and something I always see each spring. The next one also early spring. We have crocuses and snowdrops coming out of the ground, and here we have a beautiful one of these landscape pages, and then we have a branch with a bird singing on it, singing and sitting. And then it's typical spring, with the sunlight coming down and a lot of clouds up in the sky. So a lot of wonderful light green colors on this page, I think. And a somewhat pale blue sky, because the spring sky is not always, really bright and blue. And this page also with the bird sitting up in the tree amongst all of these wonderful flowers. Could be cherry flowers. I think actually it is cherry flowers and not apple flowers. And because there are so many pages, but I have also chosen this double page spread because it's filled with daffodils, which really symbolizes spring for me, and then a lot of Easter eggs. So here we have simply a double page spread with Easter all over it, and then beautiful butterflies and bees, of course. And then I like these 2 pages because we have these smaller motifs, and then you can just, color 1 or 2 of them and then leave the rest, so you don't have to complete it all. I really like it. So, and again, I know you can see we have a lot of flowers here, and then I think it turns into summer, because this beach scene is what I think about when I think about summer and the beach. So I'm not quite sure how many of these pages could be spring. I mean, this one is also really beautiful, but there's so many flowers, and a lot of them are roses, and they usually bloom during the summer, at least in my garden. So I think that these are more summer pages. But this is also spring, of course, with daffodils. But I don't have to, pick them all, because this is a book I will have for years to come, and that I can color in during the seasons. Spring pages in Klara Markova books. Well, I have a few Klara Markova books, and it's a little bit different what sort of spring pages I fancy and what I would like to color. But Little Secrets from My Fairy House, this page I think is really adorable. We have tulips over here, we have some lily of the valley, and then we have a little cute unicorn and a fairy playing the harp. What's not to like about this wonderful page? And then we have this lovely page with a little cute elf couple, or also a fairy, because she has wings. He doesn't have wings. But anyway, we have some lovely cute small houses down here, perhaps for some mice, and beautiful flowers and a blooming branch and a I think it's supposed to be a sort of heart-shaped either balloon or a lollipop. It's a bit difficult to see. But knowing Klara Markova, it could be a lollipop. But cute pages. Fairy Miracles. I have also found a couple of pages from Fairy Miracles. Here we have a lovely page. It could even be a double page spread, because you can also color the other side. But here we have a wonderful little fairy house, and you can see that he's proposing to her. So super cute, and lots of flowers around and on top of the fairy house. The other page, as I said, it could be colored as a double page spread. We have some cute snails on top of I think it's a cake adorned with mushrooms, flowers, and are those biscuits of some sort, I think. Well, cute anyway. And this wonderful page filled with flowers, a flying fairy, and a huge rose. So here you can really practice your highlights and shading skills with coloring this wonderful rose. And here on this page, a lovely little elf and a lot of beautiful foxgloves, and I love coloring foxgloves. It's such a beautiful flower, poisonous but beautiful. And we also have a beehive. And finally, this lovely fairy, beautiful wings, sitting on a branch filled with all of these wonderful blossoms. I think that perhaps this is an apple tree, and we have some lovely apple flowers and a beautiful butterfly. Fairy celebrations. And of course, this is the cover page in here, and I didn't get to color it last year, so I really think that I would like to color it this year. This page is just filled with lovely spring flowers. We have grape hyacinths and crocuses down here. And I can't remember if they are called pansies or violets. One of the things, I can't remember. Tulips also. Beautiful, beautiful flowers. And we also have an elf. This page, again, lovely, lovely flowers up in a tree with an elf holding a clock. And then we also have a wonderful butterfly. The cat page, where the cat is reading night stories, good night stories for the birds. Absolutely wonderful page. And here we have, say, I think it's a small sort of dragon-like creatures together with a fairy, and they are, looks like they're having a picnic on a blanket in the garden. And orchard full of fairies. This page was out for a vote last year, where I did a color and chat for Easter, but another page won, the one with the fairy and the duck or chicken or what it was. Anyway, it's up on my channel, but here we have some lovely tulip flowers, and they can sing. A wonderful chicken, perhaps a little peacock chicken because it has something of a tail, and then a little elf, the usual Klara Markova candy, and a dragonfly. And this one is really adorable. We have a couple, and they are just having a good time here on this, I think it's some sort of a coffee pot. And here we have this sugar for the coffee, together with tulips and daffodils. And this cute little goat scene is just really adorable. Again, a lot of spring flowers, and then this cute goat. And finally, this page with some lovely berries. Again, this is also what you can call a double page spread. So it's actually both pages with a berry house and a little fairy. And then we have a house, not in the branches, but more on the ground, I think, and some branches surrounding it, with lots and lots and lots of flowers. Fairy Touch of Magic. The book that I am currently working in. And here we have this lovely drawing filled with daffodils and a little fairy house, a fairy family living in it. Another fairy house. But oh, here, this wonderful double page spread with the tulips and grape hyacinths. Also some lily of the valley, and you can see all of the new hyacinths they're going to plant in the earth. Beautiful spring scene. And those were my Klara Markova pages. Johanna Basford. Well, of all of her coloring books, you can find so many wonderful nature-inspired pages. World of Flowers, Secret Garden, Enchanted Forest, Magical Jungle, and so on. So you can, of course, find pages that are more spring-like than summer or autumn. I do feel that a lot of her drawings you can twist to the season that you prefer by changing a few things. So I have decided to just look in her newest coloring book, Wonderful Wildflowers, because I got this book when it was published during autumn, and I said back then that I would save it for spring and summer, because I feel that most of the pages in this book are more spring and summer, and a couple of autumn pages than winter pages. So I have found some of the first pages in the book. I do think that this sort of circlish motive is a lot of the flowers remind me of spring, because we have some really tulip-like spring flowers, and and sort of early bellflowers. So I do think that a lot of these flowers remind me of spring, and I can easily picture this page in a lot of pastel, beautiful colors. The rabbit page, also a spring page for me. We have early forms of bellflowers, and I just think that this bunny oozes spring. Life is beginning. We have a cute little rabbit and a lot of wonderful light brown colors and blue and purple and greens. This page, also a page I could picture in wonderful spring colors, or pastel colors. What colors are spring? Well, I think they are pastel colors, a very light blue for the background, light green, and perhaps a pastel yellow or pastel pink for the flowers. And then we have this little, I think it is a butterfly in the middle. So you can also play with the light and make this background a lot lighter and then darker as you get towards the edges. There are certainly a lot of options with this page. This is one of the few really filled up pages in wonderful wildflowers, and I do think that this would be a wonderful spring page because a lot of the flowers are sort of tulip-like, and I do associate tulips with spring. And I think a lot of other people do too. So a spring page for me with a lot of opportunities to play with the background and add different sorts of colors. You could also color this monochromatic actually, if you wanted to, with a pale green background and then use lighter dark greens and greens for the flowers and the leaves. Just a thought. This page also, these flowers also remind me of spring. We do have some small mushrooms here, but there is an air of a spring evening in this page. This busy page is the last one I've chosen. I like pages like this. Of course, it is also a challenge. How do you tackle a page like this? Well, you could, like I did in Magical Worlds, color all of the flowers and the leaves and then turn it into a jigsaw puzzle and draw the puzzle pieces on it. Or you could also, with this page, do a monochromatic coloring with a soft pastel background and then color all of the flowers and leaves. For example, blue or purple. I think this would be great in blue, purple or pink. So those were the pages I have chosen from Johanna Basford, Wonderful Wildflowers. Thank you so much for watching this video with inspiration for your spring coloring. I hope you enjoyed it, and I also hope that you really felt inspired to tackle some of these coloring pages in the different books by these amazing coloring book illustrators. What are your favorite spring pages or your favorite spring coloring book illustrator? Write it down in the comments. Please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And if you are new here and you just happen to stumble upon this video, go check out the playlists on my channel and consider subscribing. So until I see you in the next one, have a lovely day. Take care of yourself. Happy coloring. Bye.